So I just wanted to give a little insight on how my delivery went, and every delivery is different.
I'll be there for you, I'll be there for you, I'll be there for you. 'Cause that's what I'm supposed to do.
First off, I'm going to start with my pregnancy. I wanted to start my YouTube channel while I was pregnant to kind of give a walkthrough of how my pregnancy was progressing. But my pregnancy was not miserable, but I was never comfortable during my pregnancy. I had sciatica right off the bat from 12 weeks, 12 or 13 weeks, I don't remember, but, and I was just miserable. I just wasn't feeling up to a whole lot while I was pregnant, so I just decided to hold off, and finally I'm starting to do my videos. We didn't use any type of birth control. When we first got together, I was on birth control, and then a year or two after I decided to get off of it, I just wasn't liking it, the birth control that I was on, and I never got back on birth control, and it took us that long actually to have a baby. We weren't trying, but we weren't preventing either. So we found out on September 11, 2015 that we were having a baby. And then it was sometime in October, I was about 9 weeks, we finally told our family. And everyone was super excited for us. They could not wait. And then we found out what we were having on Christmas Eve of 2015, and we found out that we were having a girl. Of course, Stevie wanted a boy, and so hoping for a girl. Stevie was by no means, he was not upset. He was very excited. Our due date was actually May 17 of 2016. Now into the delivery process and labor process. May 17, 2016 was a Tuesday. That day I was super bummed that I did not have her. I actually went to the doctor's office and I asked them to strip my membranes. I was supposed to have my normal checkup anyways that day, but I asked them to strip my membranes. It's super painful getting your membranes stripped. It's hard to explain, but it burns. It was a lot of pain. So I went back to work as normal, and I went on with my day, and I did not did not have anything happen. And later that day I went home. Still nothing was happening. I was really hoping. I was having small minor contractions, but it wasn't anything big. And then the next day we had off of work. So I had planned with my grandma that we were going to go downtown and we were going to walk around and we were going to try and walk this baby out of me. I was so uncomfortable. I just wanted to make sure that I was able to get her out ASAP. So we went downtown, we walked a few miles, and I was getting contractions. Like I said, nothing huge, just minor contractions. And then the next day was actually May 19, 2016, and May 19 is my birthday. So on my birthday, my mom actually came over in the morning, and we went out to eat for my birthday. And we wanted to do anything possible to get this baby out. We were really hoping that we were going to have Kylie on my birthday. So we went out to a place called Angela's and we ate some Italian food, and the waitress actually got talking with us and said that I looked nothing like I was even 9 months pregnant. So we got talking a little bit, and she had told me to go off-roading. She said if you hit some potholes, it's supposed to help with labor and intensify things. My mom and I, we hopped in the car and we went off-roading. We were hitting any pothole that we could hit, and I was getting, again, continuing minor contractions. They were getting more intense once we were doing that. So I was really hoping that things were going to happen, but they were not consistent at all. So I knew that I wasn't actually fully in labor. So later that night, my mom and I, we decided, well, we're just not having the baby today, so we'll just leave it at that. And she did end up leaving. Now, Stevie was on his way home from work, so he got home. Basically, as he was coming home, my mom was pulling out of the driveway. So Stevie got home and we talked a little bit. So I told him I wanted to head to Meijer and I wanted to get a birthing ball, because I heard that the birthing balls, if you get on them and you do certain exercises, it's supposed to help intensify labor as well. So we went to Meijer, and I swear to this day, Kylie was waiting for her daddy to be home in order for her to come into this world. The second we got to Meijer, I could not even stand my contractions. They were so intense that I was on my tippy toes walking through Meijer, holding on to shelves, doing anything to just make myself a little bit more comfortable. And then, of course, Stevie wanted to look at gardening stuff, so we were looking at different seeds, etc., etc. So we were in Meijer for quite a while, and once we got home, we blew up the birthing ball instantly. I started doing my exercises. I had not slept since 6:30 a.m. that day, which was on my birthday. And Stevie had gone to bed. He works early in the morning. He starts work at 4 a.m. So I knew that he needed to get his sleep, and we weren't sure if we were going to be going to the hospital or not. So he went to bed, and he was planning on going to work. So I called my OBGYN, and I told them that I think I was in labor. They asked me how far apart my contractions were, and I told them they were about 6 minutes apart. No, they were 8 minutes apart, I'm sorry. And the second the doctor heard that I had said 8 minutes apart, he told me not to go in. He said if I'm that uncomfortable, I can go into the hospital. They're going to turn me away, but they can give me some sort of medication that will make me comfortable. But I did not want to go to the hospital until things were for sure, and I knew I was going to stay, and there was no doubt about it. The second I got off the phone, I started timing my contractions again, and they were down to about 6 minutes. And as this was about 1:30 a.m., and I called my mom, and I needed to wake Stevie up, and it couldn't hurt to just go to the hospital. If they turn me away, they turn me away, but she could tell I was just in a lot of pain. So I woke Stevie up, and I was hysterically crying. I was in so much pain. I couldn't even stand up. I was like hunched over our bed. I could not get in any sort of comfortable position. He seen that I was hurting very bad, so he's like, you know what, I'm going to take you to the hospital, and that's that. So we went to the hospital. We got to the hospital about 2:15 a.m. They started triaging me, and they told me that I was going to be staying. At 2:30 a.m. they told me I was dilated to a 4, and they ended up putting me into a room. We got settled into the room. The nurses came in, and they were talking to me about things. They were asking me questions, and told me how things were going to continue, how they were going to go, and when they were going to do things. About 4:30 a.m. I was dilated to a 6, and at that point there was a point that I know I kind of freaked out Stevie and our nurse, but I thought Kylie was coming. I was in so much pain that I thought for sure I had to push. I was yelling, I have to push, but the nurse came and checked on me, and she's like, honey, you're only dilated to a 6. There's no way you have to push right now. It was just a terrible contraction, and I felt like if I pushed, she was actually going to come out. That was my worry. Now, once that happened, shortly after, a few hours after, about 6 o'clock, I would say, I was dilated to a 10. We were texting my mom and texting Stevie's mom, and we told them, you know, because of the hospital that I was at, they said that once you're dilated to a 10, they make you wait 2 hours. Now, we weren't sure if we should have our parents come just yet or not because of having to wait the 2 hours, so we told them that was the situation. They could come if they wanted. They didn't have to. They could wait till last minute. Now, luckily, they decided to come because once I was dilated to a 10, I was ready to push. The doctor finally got to the hospital about 6:30. And once she came in, she introduced herself. She had asked me if the nurse that was in my room prior to her coming into the room, if she had gone over the different techniques for breathing, and if she had gone over anything for the actual delivery. And I had told her no, because the nurse had never gone over that with me. So the doctor had said, okay, well, let's just do a practice round real quick. She laid out her equipment and got set. Now, she, granted, just came in from home. She had a fleece on. She wasn't ready by no means to deliver a baby. She told me that the next contraction I was going to push. She told me how to push. And when I pushed this first time, I pushed with my face. It's hard to explain, but I felt like my face was going to blow up. I felt all the pressure in my face, and I knew that that was not right, and there wasn't really any progress. So the doctor had asked me to do it one more time the next time that the contraction was coming on. And I had already had the epidural at this point, and I knew that I could feel when a contraction was coming. You still feel pressure, or at least I did when I had the epidural. I could feel the contraction coming on. So I told her, I have a contraction coming. Once that happened, I did start pushing, and I pushed the right way that time. And because I pushed the right way that time, I think the doctor was quite shocked. We actually had a nurse that was training at the time, and she had made a joke about, she had asked me if our family was coming to visit, and I said yes, that our parents were on the way. Stevie had mentioned that my mom was about 20 minutes away because of how far away she lived from the hospital. The new nurse had said, we'll have a baby by that time, within 20 minutes, and she was just cracking a joke, but the doctor almost acted kind of annoyed that she had even mentioned anything about the baby coming that soon, because you're probably, and chances are, going to get the mom's hopes up at that point, because being your first baby, you are generally in the hospital for quite a while being in labor. So the doctor looked at me and said, no, she said, being your first baby, chances are you're going to be pushing for 1 to 3 hours. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what I had planned on. So that next contraction came, and I pushed, and doctor's eyes had lit up, and at that point, she whipped herself out of her chair, and she whipped her hair up real quick. She ripped off her fleece. She came over to the bed. She ripped the bed down, and she told me that she seen Kylie's hair. She knew that we were having a baby right away. So I pushed 2 more times, and Kylie was born at 7:39. It was the most amazing time of my life. I'm getting emotional on it now. Kylie was laid onto my chest, and so we had known that I had been pushing, and Stevie had mentioned it to our family that I was dilated to a 10, so they were rushing over. We did not know that Kylie was going to come that quick. So in the middle of me pushing, my mom had Stevie's mom came in first while we were pushing. No one stopped her from coming in, and we all were yelling, no, you can't come in yet, we're pushing. So then about 5 minutes after, my mom started coming into the room, and again we were yelling, no. So my mom was blowing my phone up saying, please let the nurse know that I can come in, please let her know I can come in. When my mom came in, Kylie was born. She was just born, and you could hear her cry. So my mom was able to hear her first cry, and shortly after, once Kylie was on my chest, my mom and Stevie's mom came in. At that point, I didn't even care if my boob was out. I was so emotionally attached to having this baby, and I wanted my mom and his mom to see. Now my dad, granted, he did stay behind the curtain, so he did not see anything, but I fed for a very long time, and finally they were able to weigh Kylie and measure her, Once they weighed her, she was weighing at 7 pounds 6 ounces. She was 21 inches long. She was absolutely perfect. I loved her instantly, and I did not know that was even possible to love a baby that much, that fast. So basically what it comes down to is at 2:30 a.m. I was dilated to a 4. 4:30 a.m. I was dilated to a 6. 6:30 a.m. I was dilated to a 10, and by 7:39 a.m. Kylie was here. I hear all these horror stories about delivery and how they either have emergency C-section or they're in hours and hours of labor, like even 24 to 48 hours of labor and pushing, and I was so nervous. I had the best delivery I could have ever imagined, and even the doctor said, now don't tell your friends this because everyone's going to be super jealous, but I don't see very many deliveries that way. And then the next day, the next nurse that had come, or the next doctor that had come in to check in on Kylie and I, the doctor that had delivered with us, she must have said something to this doctor, and the doctor had come in the next day and said, wow, I hear that you were a rock star. I mean, I could not have imagined having such an amazing delivery, such a fast delivery. I wasn't even in that much pain. It was unbelievable. So a couple things that I wanted to mention about labor and delivery is, I know a lot of people say you really are going to know if you're in labor. I always hated when someone would tell me that because this is my first baby. I don't know when I'm in labor. Oh, but you'll know. You will 100% know when you're in labor. I was getting contractions and they were tolerable. I was able to sit through work with them. There was absolutely no sitting through anything once you know you're having contractions. They are so intense, and no one can even ever explain the pain. It's not even comparable to anything. It is so painful. You will 100% know when you're in labor, and you will 100% know when to go into the hospital. My contractions were 6 minutes apart when I went in, and they say to wait until 5 minutes apart, but I just knew that this was coming, and there was no more waiting. I had to get into the hospital ASAP. Another thing is, don't forget when you deliver. I had forgotten. When you go in and you deliver the baby and everything's great, you still have to deliver the placenta. Now, it's not painful at all. It's fine, but they, and you don't push for it. At least they didn't have me push for it. The doctor will push on your stomach and push everything out. But it is painful because you did just have a baby in your stomach, and everything is just kind of oozy, and it just does not feel the greatest when someone pushes on your stomach. So that I would prepare yourself for. They push the placenta out. You do have to deliver the placenta. Another thing is, once you have the baby, they want to make sure that everything is coming out, all the blood clots are coming out, everything is going okay, everything feels okay inside of you. So once you have the baby, they will come in periodically and push on your stomach and make sure everything's okay. Now, like I said, I had a doctor or a nurse that was training, so she wasn't 100% sure on what to do. When she would come in, she would push on my stomach and it would feel fine. She actually had another nurse over her shoulder one of the times after she had already done it a few times, and that nurse had told the nurse that was training that if you're not hurting the mother, then you are not doing it right. So then she came in and she was pushing very hard on my stomach to make sure that everything was coming out and that everything was feeling okay. So that is very painful. You do want to make sure you prepare yourself for that. You will be pushed around. Your stomach will be pushed on very many times, and it will be painful. So every labor and delivery story is going to be different. You're never going to hear one story be exactly the same as the next story. So I did want to be up close and personal and tell you everything up front on how my delivery went and how I felt on my delivery. I didn't want to hide anything. I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. I wanted to make sure that if I was in pain, I told you I was in pain. I don't want to scare anybody on labor and delivery. It is not that bad, at least in my situation, it was not that bad. And to be honest, once you hold that little baby in your arms, everything goes away. Not an ounce of your pain ever even mattered. It is the most life-changing situation, life-changing moments in your life. It is just amazing. But like I said, I did not want to sugarcoat anything. I wanted everything to be up front. So I hope I didn't scare anybody on labor and delivery, but thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you watch further videos and stay with my channel. Thank you.